Okay, I'm Muhammed Seid from Bahir University. Uh, I would like to be here in front of honorable state leaders, advanced academicians, policymakers, diplomats, and I'm very happy to be here to talk about the issues of Africa regarding the security. So thanks.
Okay. Your Excellencies, all protocols observed. My name is Osei Godfred from Ghana, the bastion of peace in sub-Saharan Africa.
Sorry, you'll have to speak slightly, yeah.
The bastion of peace in sub-Saharan Africa, and an MPhil Peace and Development Studies student of the University of Cape Coast. And this afternoon, I'm here to do a presentation on how we can sustain the peace moves that have emerged in the Horn of Africa. Thank you.
Honorable ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, all protocol observed. My name is Chiliswa. I'm from Kenya. I'm a doctoral student in England at the University of Leeds and Leeds Trinity. I'm delighted to be here and honored to speak to you this afternoon in the alternative conversations that are taking shape in Africa. And if there's anything that you should remember about me is the quality of our politics in the digital age. How can we understand it?
In order to save on time, I will not show my not so adorable face until the end. I'll ask each one of them in the order that they've spoken to come up now that you know who they are. They won the essay competition for this year, and they're going to take between 5 and 7 minutes just to share their thoughts. So gentlemen, over to you. So you will go one after the other. There is a timekeeping protocol. Please stand up, my brother. At 6 minutes, they will show that card, and at time up, they will show that card. And it's right in front of you so that I don't have to enforce the law. Enjoy and have great fun. Thanks.
Thanks for the opportunity. I will provide you my topic that is related with market and military competition of external partners as a danger for peace in the Horn of Africa. So the outline will be Horn of Africa as a center of focus and aspiration, and what makes the external partners competition a danger for the region, the adverse effect of the competition and suggested possible solutions will be my outline. In addition to the fragile and volatile nature of the region, which is characterized by ill-demarcated borders, inter- and intrastate conflicts, poor governance, ethnic diversity, terrorism, piracy, and ethnic-based insurgent movements, nowadays, the Horn Africa region becomes the focus of many external actors, from the traditional up to the emerging partners of the region. Those external partners having their own various clashing and overlapping interests coming there. Some of the interests are may be categorized as political, economic, military, and ideological. The coming of the competition by itself is not a danger for the region, but what makes the danger for me is two things. The first one is the external political condition of the region, the states of the region, that is characterized by the state's internal politics is not stable. For example, we can see the condition of South Sudan and Somalia. The second one is they are not competent enough economically and militarily to counterbalance the adverse effects of the hostile competition. And there is no cooperation between them. Rather than cooperation, they are working against each other. And there is also an immense competition between the region, the states of the region for hegemony of the region. And there are also live potential conflict grounds between states, which is related with many factors And the second factor is the relationship between those external partners that are coming to the region. Because if they have a positive relationship, inevitably the region may be benefited from those external partners. But if the relationship is not positive, the region may become a contestation field for those coming hosted external partners. So the relationship between those external partners is characterized by lack of complementarity. It is basically antagonistic, and one tries to take an overall advantage of the other. So all of them strives to build a strong alliance to dominate the other, and the white domination is full of economic and military sabotage. So currently we are hosting the Gulf crisis. We are giving the military base for both blocs. Consequently, this incompatible relationship will create fertile ground for the first one. Militarist insurgent groups will get access to armament and military support easily. And the area may become field of power contestation for those external partners. And the antagonistic relationship between states of the region may become more aggravated. And the states of the region may become laboratory of economic and military sabotage. Finally, states of the region may lose their power and the people may be in danger. So we need a pragmatic solution that will filter the adverse effect of the competition so as to benefit or so as to manipulate the benefits. So as per my assumption, I suggested certain possible solutions. Those are categorized as state level and regional level solutions. The first one, making the internal politics of states in the region stable. That means we have to resolve potential conflicts. We have to create a legitimate governance system, and governments must serve the interests of the public. And the second one is resolving potential border and power conflicts between and within states. And the other one is adopting a strong national foreign policy, which filter the negative effect of those external competition. At regional level, we have to create a strong regional institution that will effectively cooperate states of the region so as to strongly resist the effect of the competition. And the other one is creating common agreement between the Horn states that will deter from giving a military base for war projection between them. And the other one is incorporating of preconditions that prohibit from prosecuting war on states of the region while making an agreement with those our external partners. Lastly, as a young from Africa, I would like to reflect that we young African youths are aspiring to receive a stable and prosperous continent from our elders and from our fathers. So we hope you will do it. Thank you. I will leave the time for the next one.
Powerful point.
Your Excellencies, our protocols duly observed. It is with a heart emblazoned with an alloyed sigh of elation that I stand here in front of the flurry of eminent people here in Gadet. And I must first of all seize this opportunity to send my utmost appreciation to the flurry of honorable people that are gathered out here. It is indeed a great honor to be standing in front of wonderful people like you. And this afternoon, my simple task here is to bandy over my intricately woven essay in a more summarized way, particularly focusing on how we can sustain the emerging peace trends in the Horn of Africa. ladies and gentlemen, in his agenda for peace building, then United Nations Secretary General Boutros Ghali in 1992 noted that peace building refers to the process by which an achieved peace is placed on durable foundations and one which prevents violent conflicts from recurring by dealing with the underlying economic, social, cultural, and other factors responsible for the conflict. There has also been a term that has emerged through the works of Johan Galtung, which would have to do with what we call as positive peace and negative peace. By positive peace, then we are looking at structural factors that are likely to pose threats on the lives of individuals. We're trying to find solutions to such structural factors. Is when we say we have positive peace. Then with negative peace, it would have to do with direct violent acts such as torture, the situation where lives are lost, and the ilk. The thought-provoking question that I asked today is that the Horn of Africa, have we gotten to a stage where we can say that there is either positive peace or negative peace, or all the same, we have achieved both peace? From the definition that I earlier mentioned, it can be deduced that it is one cumbersome task trying to achieve peace and another Herculean task trying to sustain the peace that have been attained. Today, the politically grief-stricken Horn of Africa can boast of a situation where there are a whole lot of moves aimed at ensuring peace, and of course some of them have been met with peace in what some writers would describe as the pacifying influence on the peace process in the Horn of Africa, which was the election of Abiy Ali as the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. This was followed by the signing of peace treaties between the country Ethiopia and Eritrea. All these issues tell us that now there are moves aimed at peace. But the question is, how do we sustain the peace moves that have started? There have been some recommendations to the people of Eritrea to consider amicable solutions to the conflicts that have occurred between themselves and the people of Djibouti. We can also boast of electoral processes, peaceful electoral processes in the Horn of Africa for some time now. All these are emerging, changing, and spiraling moves that are happening as far as peace is concerned. That notwithstanding, they are met with certain challenging factors, such as the fact that today there are countries in the Horn of Africa that are posed with what I'll call as displacement, such that if we take countries such as Sudan, we can state that a study indicates that about 2.7 million of the people are still displaced. And there are a whole number of youth who are either forcefully migrating or economically migrating. Within the Horn of Africa, there are instances where internally some countries preach the word of peace, but internally, when it comes to disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration of the people involved in conflicts, it has become another issue of concern. And one issue that I want to raise is that, it's not for the fun of it, but I feel so sad to hear that within the Horn of Africa, there are countries which of course can say that, okay, we have agreed that this time around, our borders are going to be open to our neighboring countries. And the next moment, we realize that on their part, they have closed their borders and they don't allow people to come in there no more. We can make reference to what happened in Eritrea, where on the eve of December, it was their borders which have been already declared palpably that it was going to be open, were once again closed. I don't know if it has been opened as of now, but those are critical issues that we need to look at and how we can, moving forward, sustain the peace that have been attained. Ladies and gentlemen, in line with this, I suggest that we go back to a democracy that is more contextualized. Julius Kambaji Nyerere, the Mwalimu, once stated that when we talk about democracy, democracy is not like a bottle of Coke to be imported to another country. We should have a democracy that is contextualized to meet the need and encapsulate the needs of the African people. We should have a democracy where the youth will be given the opportunity, like it has started today, to ensure that their voices will be heard. Like Kofi Annan said some time ago, that the youth can make a difference. Their voices must be heard. Let's critically look at the issue of unemployment. Up to date, there are a barrage of number of youth who are moving out there, all because of the fact that they are posed with unemployment, poverty, and the ilk. It is time for us to find solutions to all these issues. Let's just go back to an Africa that is for its people. Together, we can build the spirit of Ubuntu, which says that people are people through other people. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My dry essay is with the Institute of Peace Studies and Security, but today I want to give a conversation, at least 3 points that I think sort of captures my imagination in that essay. I want to ask you, and you can also ask yourself, why is it relevant at this time in point to think about social media and as it relates to peace or the trends that are emerging in our region? I have 3 points. The first one is that by asking how it relates, it helps us to put into perspectives the intersections of our politics and the new media. Why? Because these technologies are connecting people in ways that we never imagined. That today, politics within states and politics outside of the state, they seem to be one and the same. That issues that are affecting a country in the neighborhood can easily become issues in your own country. And this has impact on the way we articulate our politics. The second is that people are consuming this media in a different way. It's not the way we used to have the newspapers, the radio, the TV, or the CDs or DVDs. The media, in the new media, are being consumed differently, and this has impact. The impact is that anyone can get into conversation. The governors and the governed are much closer in conversation, and this has implication on how the institutions of governance function. For instance, if you live in a country that is ethnically divided, that is polarized, and this conversation is brought into this space, what impact does it have on the way that you articulate your political agenda? Most of the time it will be a very polarizing discourse, and this is the discourse that we would have to step back and ask ourselves, what does it mean to do peace in this kind of environment? The third point is that the forces in these spaces are different. We've talked today about the demographics. According to the ITU 2017 report, it says that 70% of the population online are people between the age of 15 and 24. 70%. This is a huge population. In Africa, it's about 40%, and this is more than any other region of the world, that young people between the age of 15 and 17 are the ones occupying internet. This has implication, again, because of the conversation that they have. Not many of them are within our structures of governance. Not many of them are the ones participating in the politics. So how is their conversation connected to the conversation that the governors of our countries have? This is something that we must look back and ask ourselves, how can we have this space being spaces for peace building and not spaces of radicalization, spaces of hate speech, spaces where you have groups that have very evil intentions of states, most of our states are still very vulnerable when it comes to protecting their infrastructure, their critical infrastructure. We know how, for instance, elections are being interfered with. The integrity of our elections, most of them are at stake. So we ask ourselves, how does this shape the quality and content of the politics that we have within our borders? The digital security seems to be, or the cyber security seems to be a top priority in the many regions of the world. In the US, is on the top list, more than terrorism at the moment, cyber security. So then, having said these 3 points, we can conclude that the transformation in the infrastructure of media and communication has immense influence on the quality, character, content of our politics. It shapes the way we imagine our politics. It shapes the way we imagine the peacefulness of our societies. If, for instance, on the Twitter sphere, people are up against each other, the conversation is very, very, very violent. That only can help us to try and imagine what is the society like outside if we step outside of that. And I have the following things to suggest as some things that we can think about if we are peace builders, policymakers in this room, is that peace building must try to imagine the practice that are in these spaces and see how to transform the representations of our politics, our national, our regional, our global politics. How are we representing them in the peace building terms? This is something that we can do because we have new practices that are within these spaces. The second thing, that doing peace building should be an opportunity to think about how to refocus, how to transform things that we prize, things that move our politics. We move into politics because there are certain prizes that we want to achieve, things that we value. For me, peace building has to be a representation of the new way of thinking about our reality. And I conclude by saying that because digital technologies can connect us in different ways and bring us closer to the governors, it should then therefore be a place where we can have a new way of participating in our politics. We cannot transfer the offline politics that is so divisive into these spaces. These spaces should be, given the dangers that are there, peace building should be a way of transforming, a way of reforming, a way of getting a new imagination of our societies. Thank you.
I think we can do better than that. Mohammed, from your discussion of the regional geopolitics and its complexity and how we needed to strengthen regional coordination, sir, to your talk about a value-driven peace architecture, you ended by saying we need to rebuild, you called it an Ubuntu base in our peace, and your expose of the role of new media. I think that we have young people who have given us topics that were not somewhere on the table, somewhere not so much on the table. What originally there was not meant to be a comment, but because they've been so brief and to the point, they took 7 minutes instead of the 10 that they were originally meant to do. I'm just going to take 2-3 comments just as a celebration that we actually were listening and we did hear. Is there anyone who wants to make a quick intervention? Please don't give a lecture. Take a leaf from they described the problem and the challenges, and all 3 of them proposed a solution. So no pressure, but if you want to comment or ask a question, please remember the solution-oriented youth approach. Any comment? No comment, God bless you. Can we, I think that I'm going to invite, I know that this is not on the program, Excellencies, I know that for a young person, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Would you care, and I would invite the photographers, Excellencies, the front row, just to come and take a picture with them. They put a great effort to have to get up. Please, you can they can come to you or you can come to something, just a photo. This will be memorable for them. Let's create that memory. Tana is about creating memories. Don't run out. Oh. Oh, you want... Michelle, please come. Who's it? Yeah. Oh, no. Should I be there? So? No, no, no. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Excellency. Thank you. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. You have done us proud.